It's a lot of information, right? It's a lot of very useful and important information as well, right? You probably didn't think when somebody told you to come to this or asked you to come to this, it was going to be so stimulating and exciting and informative, right? I'm going to share with you my plight here. So to summarize the last 2 days, from my own perspective, is that I don't think I've ever been more impressed. I meet young people across the country all the time. I've literally been on the road for 4 years talking about this opioid epidemic that we find ourselves in the middle of. And I go across the country, I meet young people, and I meet young people that are having such difficult times. Their parents are addicted, their siblings are addicted, in some cases they're addicted, they've lost classmates. I do events where we might have 10,000 kids in a room, and I have them turn the house lights on, and I ask them if, by a show of hands or by standing up, if who among them has lost somebody close to them from addiction, and 75% of the room stands up. I mean, and all of these other issues that we're talking about contribute. These kids are medicating themselves because of all these other issues. They're medicating themselves. They're trying to make the pain go away, right, by taking these drugs. And I always try to avoid being controversial about the drug companies and all that other stuff. I don't want to do that here. But I do want to say that having an event like this contributes to solutions for all of those issues that kids face right across the board, because they're all intertwined, right? They're all intertwined, they're all connected. And it's really about, from my perspective, it's really about brokenness, right? And fragility and all the things that are coming at kids at this crazy pace, you know? It says here to share some of my own story. And I was outside in the hallway and somebody was interviewing me, and they asked me why was I here and why was it so important to me to be here and why is it so important for me to spend as much time as I do working with youth. And, you know, the easy answer is I have children. I have 3 children at home, right? And the more difficult answer to the question is I reflect on my own youth and the difficulties that I faced. See, by the time I was, well, let's back up. So I made it all the way to the 7th grade in Boston Public Schools. That's as far as I went. I graduated from high school. I got a GED in Massachusetts State Prison. I don't remember what year it was. I went to 7 different schools from grade 1 to grade 7. I was the middle of integrating the Boston Public Schools. And so we were always on the move, you know? And so I was the new kid in every school. And I'm also the middle child of 9, right? Think about how much attention a child needs, right? How much attention you need to give your child in order for them to grow up healthy, right? And then have 8 more kids on top of it and work 2 jobs and try to put food on the table and pay a mortgage and do all these other things. You know, it's really difficult. And so, you know, by the time I was 12 years old, I was a ward of the state. The decision-making process was removed from my family, and the state was making the decisions about what happened in my life. And I started to medicate myself, you know? I started to try to fix my brokenness with things that made me feel better, right? Or made me feel different, or made me not feel at all, right? So alcohol was my first love, right? And then I just became a garbage pail for whatever would make me feel different from the way I felt naturally. And, you know, by the time I was 13 years old, I was, you know, always locked up, or living in somebody else's home, group homes, halfway houses, foster homes, you name it, I did it. And so when people ask me, why is it so important? Why did I want to be here? Why do I spend so much time working with youth? Man, I mean, if there's anything that I can do to help somebody avoid the pitfalls that I fell into, it's my responsibility as a human being, right, to do that. And it's also my responsibility when it comes to a group like this is to try to encourage you and to say thank you for the work that you do. See, there were people along the way that tried to help me, right? Young, energetic people that were inspired to make a difference. And unfortunately for me, I couldn't accept the help. But I know that they were making a difference. And I know they made a difference in my life because I can run down their names. I remember them like it was yesterday. I remember the advice they gave me and the direction they tried to give me and the breaks that they try to give me and the help that they try to give me. And, you know, it just, for me, my journey, I had to go where I had to go and I had to suffer what I had to suffer to be here in front of you today. That was just my journey, but it doesn't have to be everybody's journey. And we can interrupt that process for young people, right? And so when I think about being an educator, being a teacher, and all that comes with now, right? It's just mind-boggling to me, right? Because we've heard about the complex issues that young people are dealing with today, right? Can you imagine trying to deal with that stuff yourself? Never mind how difficult it is to deal with trying to help them or assist them or be there and support them. So, so, you know, I'm here to be responsible. I'm here because I feel like it's all of our duties, right? To do all that we can. I'm trying to, I am fulfilled by living a life of service. That's what fulfills me now. That's what brings me joy. That's what makes me feel like this is the man I was supposed to be, and I got sidetracked. And the thing about being sidetracked is when I was sidetracked back in the 80s and the 70s, right, people weren't dying at the alarming rates that young people are dying now, right, from addiction, suicide, and all these things, man. It's just, it's a lot more complex and a lot more difficult now than it was then. And it was pretty difficult. I got to tell you, it was difficult. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, where am I going to sleep tonight? Can I find a warm place to sleep tonight? And now I think about when I look at a kid, a 12-year-old kid, and they're this big, and I'm like, when I was that age, these are the things I was trying to figure out, right? So I want to commend you all for being here. I want to commend you all for your dedication. And I hope that you picked up some tools and some direction and some, and you were inspired a little bit. I certainly was inspired. I've been particularly inspired by the young people. And I've also been inspired by our next speaker and the guy that's going to wrap this thing up. I'm going to introduce John Broderick, who I assume everybody already knows because everybody in the hallway was telling me how awesome you were. I feel like I don't need these cards. And I've gotten a chance to talk to John, and I think John and I's future are going to intersect in a lot of places. I really feel like I want to be a part of what he's doing, and he's indicated to me that he thinks I have something to offer, which is so humbling to me, that I have anything to offer in the way of solutions and in the way of having a conversation. So I'm blessed to be in that position today. So John is the Senior Director of External Affairs at Dartmouth-Hitchcock. Prior to joining Dartmouth-Hitchcock, he was the Dean of the University of New Hampshire School of Law. It was the founder of the Warren B. Rudman Center for Justice, Leadership, and Public Policy at the law school. From 1995 into 2010, he was a member of the New Hampshire Supreme Court, and during the last 7 years of his term, he served as the Chief Justice. We'd like to give John a special thank you for providing the vision and passion that made this event possible. John, come on up, buddy.
Good afternoon. Will you just join me in thanking Jim Wahlberg? He's an amazing guy. I won't be long. I have to be done, they said, by 4 o'clock. But I'm here really for a very limited purpose. I, first of all, want to thank all of you for coming here on a Saturday. That's a commitment. I want to thank the students who have taught all of us some lessons over the last 2 days. Jim Wahlberg had a lot to do with today. I want to thank the governor of our state and the First Lady, who I met for the first time, by the way, yesterday. She's an amazingly thoughtful person. They came here, and I appreciate that. I want to thank Dr. Conroy, who's the CEO of Dartmouth-Hitchcock. I don't have one of those really high-level slots, so this wouldn't be happening without her commitment and her leadership. And she was very proud, I think, of what took place here and supports it. The communications team has been recognized. I didn't do a whole lot to make this run on time, but a lot of other people did. And the communications team, I'm their colleague, was extraordinary. I want to especially thank those of you here who are in public education. I come from a family of teachers and administrators. I know how important your jobs are. I know they're hard, too. I want to thank you for welcoming me into a lot of your schools and giving me the chance to talk to a lot of your students. It has been the single most rewarding experience of my entire professional life, and I don't say that lightly. My eyes have been opened the last 34 months as I've traveled around the state, and now into Vermont, and Maine, and northern Massachusetts. I love this generation of kids. They are amazing. And that was on display here the last 2 days. They're mature and thoughtful. And I know a lot of us wonder, where do we go from here? And there'll be discussions. I hope you'll be part of that. But I think it's not as hard as it seems. We need to listen to these kids. They had a lot of great ideas today. It's their lives we're hearing about. It's their lives we want to favorably impact, and they want us to. The one regret I've had in my travels is that we have not been able, at least I have not been able, to engage as many parents as I would like. I have hugged a lot of their children with wet eyes and cracking voices who confide in me, a man they'll never see again, because they know, at least in the area of mental health, I won't be judging them, I won't be blaming them. Not their fault, and help is possible. That's what's missing, and we need to find a way to have parental engagement on these topics, not just mental health. But mental illness and mental health problems are foundational to a lot of the problems that were talked about here today. I see that now. And all of us have a responsibility to deal with it now. I also hope that there'll be more community-wide engagement, because ultimately it's a community issue. And all these young people, as impressive as they are, they know folks of their own age who are suffering. Maybe some of them were suffering. They're the future leaders of our state and our country. They're the future employees of New Hampshire businesses. They're the future parents in our state. We all know that. They're telling us they want to be heard, and we need to listen to them, and we need to act. In any event, thank you all for being here, and I hope this will be the beginning of a longer journey that will end in success. Anyway, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.